The American Revolution. The birth of a revolution. How did a handful of colonies, with limited resources and no standing army, defeat the most powerful empire on Earth? More importantly, how did their victory forever change the course of world history? The American Revolution wasn't simply a war between Britain and its colonies. It marked the beginning of a new political era, one built on ideas like liberty, representative government, and individual rights. These principles would eventually inspire revolutions across Europe, Latin America, Asia, and Africa. The United States became one of the first nations to establish a constitutional republic based on elected representatives instead of hereditary monarchs. At a time when kings and queens ruled most of the world, this was a revolutionary idea. But how did this transformation happen? Why did Britain's own colonies choose to rebel? And how did ordinary farmers, merchants, and craftsmen manage to defeat the world's strongest empire? To answer these questions, we must begin decades before the first shots of the revolution were fired. The discovery of the New World. In 1492, the Italian explorer Christopher Columbus, sailing under the Spanish flag, set out on a mission to discover a western sea route to India. Instead, he reached islands in the Caribbean. Believing he had arrived near India, Columbus called the islands the West Indies, and for years he remained convinced he had reached Asia. Later expeditions revealed that this was not Asia at all, but an entirely new continent. It was eventually named America, after the Italian explorer Amerigo Vespucci, whose writings helped convince Europeans that these lands were part of a previously unknown continent. For Europeans, America became known as the New World. However, this land was far from empty. Millions of indigenous people had lived there for thousands of years, developing diverse civilizations, cultures, and trading networks long before Europeans arrived. Unfortunately, European expansion dramatically changed their lives. The race for colonies. News of America's enormous natural wealth spread rapidly across Europe. Gold, fertile farmland, forests, and valuable trade routes attracted powerful kingdoms eager to expand their influence. Soon, Spain established colonies across Mexico and South America. Portugal claimed Brazil. France built settlements in Canada and along the Mississippi River. England began creating colonies on the eastern coast of North America. Competition between these empires became fierce. They not only fought one another, but also displaced many indigenous communities from their ancestral lands. Disease, warfare, and forced migration caused Native American populations to decline dramatically over the following centuries. Britain's 13 colonies. England's first permanent settlement in North America was established at Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. Over the next century, additional colonies were founded one after another. By 1732, Britain controlled 13 colonies, stretching along the Atlantic coastline. These colonies included Virginia, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, and finally, Georgia. Although each colony had its own local government, they all remained under the authority of the British Crown. At this stage, very few colonists imagined that these separate settlements would one day unite to create a completely new nation. Why did Europeans move to America? Most settlers didn't leave Europe because they dreamed of founding a new country. They left because they wanted a better life. Many hoped to own land, something that was nearly impossible for ordinary people in Europe. Others sought religious freedom after facing persecution in their home countries. Many simply wanted economic opportunity. America offered vast stretches of fertile land, growing trade, and the chance to build wealth through hard work. For thousands of families, it represented a fresh start. As the population expanded, towns became cities, businesses flourished, and trade increased rapidly. The colonies slowly transformed from isolated settlements into prosperous communities. A new identity begins to form. During the early years, most colonists still considered themselves loyal British subjects. Britain protected them from rival European powers and provided military support against external threats. But as decades passed, something unexpected happened. Children and grandchildren born in America no longer felt the same connection to Britain. They had never lived in England. Their lives, experiences, and opportunities were completely different from those of people across the Atlantic. Gradually, they stopped thinking of themselves as Europeans. Instead, they began calling themselves Americans.